Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the grayscale trusts, some spot ether ETF news finally, and how the Bitcoin miners have just absolutely exploded. We're talking like eye-popping gains here. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to get into before we get into the charts. First thing I want to show you guys is Bitcoin has moved up. So I'm just going to go over this real quick so I can show you all. You guys can see the move is so explosive. The Bitcoin has actually gone back above the EMAs on the weekly time frame, not just on the daily or the 4-hourly time frame. So if I zoom out here a little bit, you guys can see very clearly that the EMAs have had a golden cross on the daily. And we did break this very long-term downtrend line and had confirmations above it. So that's very bullish. And obviously the 4-hourly time frame, I mean, that, you can pretty much write that off as being history right there, because it's pretty obvious that it was going to moonshot looking back. So I'm not going to go over the rest of this too much, but I'll just show you guys a bird's eye view here. You can see that these Bitcoin miners just absolutely moonshot. I mean, moon mission today for these things, it's absolutely insane. I kind of feel like we actually probably sold a little too early, because I mean, man, if we had just held HUD 8, I mean, God, we would have probably at least made like a 50 or 100% gains. So unfortunately got out too early. It's just kind of is what it is. So we got faked out. It happens to us too, believe it or not. So yeah, I don't think I need to say much more about this. You guys can see the absolutely monstrous gains. So anybody that was in the Bitcoin miners today, dude, congratulations. You have made bank. So that covers that. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop back over to the grayscale trusts. But before I do, let's take a look at the spot ether ETFs. So there's this post on X that I saw about the spot Ethereum ETFs from Wolf of All Wall Street. So it says the SEC has instructed asset managers to submit S1 filings by July 16th for launching Ether ETFs on July 23rd. As you guys can see, today is the 15th, so this would be tomorrow. Just so you know, the declaration date for the YieldMax fund of funds, the YMAX, YMAG, and ULTY is also tomorrow. So keep that in mind too. But it basically says the final filings must include fee details and basically all that other stuff. So pretty much this is coming directly from the SEC. So this matters. Okay. This means that it's likely legitimate. So if they are launching on the 23rd, I can just show you guys here. That basically means you probably have roughly about a week to fill your bags up before these things start popping off. And I mean, this could be the beginning of the alt season. There's a reason why we put so much money so heavily into altcoins up until this point and not Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's already had its run. I've already gone over the scenarios with you guys as to what could happen over the next 12 to 18 months, so I don't want to get too heavy into it. If you guys want to read more on this, you can just, Google spot ether ETF news or spot ether ETF or something like that, and you'll find it. So pretty much same thing here. There's apparently 9 US spot. Well, okay, never mind. That's the Bitcoin ETFs. So talking down here most likely about the spot ether ETFs, this is BlackRock, VanEck, and Franklin Templeton are among the 8 asset managers whose applications likely are going to be greenlit by the SEC next Monday afternoon, July 22nd. Again, that is the day before, supposedly, the day before they're actually going to be launching the trading desks for the spot ether ETFs. And again, you guys can see very similar title here. So what do I think is going to happen when the spot ether ETFs get approved? Well, I do think LTCN and BCHG are going to launch most likely to all-time highs once Bitcoin breaks to new all-time highs. But in terms of spot ether ETFs, we already talked about this. ETH and ETCG will likely moonshot like significantly. And then for the actual alt season, meaning like anything that's not Ethereum that's considered to be an altcoin, like HZEN, or any of these down here, Filecoin, Basic Attention Token, XLM, Chainlink, Solana, all these ones are considered to be altcoins. They will likely pop off when we see a fall in the Bitcoin dominance and the spot Ether ETFs sending the price of Ethereum to the moon and all that stuff. So, all right, so let's get into LTCN here. So, got a golden cross on the MACD and the RSI on the daily time frame. We are trying to push above the EMAs here. Haven't quite got above it yet, but there does look to be like some kind of double or triple bottom down here. That's usually a basing pattern. A double bottom or a triple bottom is actually a bullish pattern. So you get one bounce, two bounce, and then boom, goes to the upside. Something else that could happen is you could kind of get this W pattern like this, and then wham, just shoot straight up. Okay, that's also a bullish pattern. So now, oh, right. So this is the 4-hour time frame, but regardless, I mean, you see what I'm getting at here. So we do have a golden cross way back here, kind of near the lows on the daily, so that's also good. You guys can see actually that the golden cross, the only one that we've had for like 4 months at this point, is this one right here. And that's when we launched from 24 all the way up to roughly about $34, about a $10 gain. So again, we're riding this trend line, haven't gotten above the EMAs yet, but like I said, LTCN and BCHG, in my opinion, I could be wrong about this, but in my opinion, they're likely going to have their biggest moves when Bitcoin goes past 75,000. And that could happen. That actually could happen on the launch of the spot Ether ETFs. I don't see why it would, but it could happen. It really could. But again, I'm going to stick with my story here that I think that likely Bitcoin's not going to hit all-time highs until the end of the year. There's just too much that lines up that tells me that that's probably when it's going to happen. So again, the trend line here is, it looks like LTCN's moving up off this trend line. So we got this basing here at roughly about $18. So you're looking pretty much, I would say, probably around 18 to maybe the tops of these candles. So 18 to 2150 would be a general buy zone here. So you got your resistance at 24 to 27, and then your swing high up here at 54. So if I were just to measure this, let's say somewhere in the middle, roughly around $20, the first target here would be 38%, a top of resistance, and then the swing high would be 173%. So basically the targets that we're looking for above that is, once we get above the control bar, is 75, 100 to 135, and then through roughly about 3 to 400, and then 510 as the all-time high. And once we get past 510, I mean, we can talk about price discovery once we get to that point. So another thing I wanted to point out too is the MACD is converging bullish here. As you can see, it's getting that lighter shade of red. That's an early indication that it might be flipping bullish. Same thing for BCHG, also potential golden cross here on the RSI. So the last time we had one on BCHG was all the way back in February. So you can see it's been quite a while since that's happened. That's a very bullish sign. So we're actually above the EMAs on this one, but it has to be confirmed on the weekly still. Daily, we did actually get above the EMAs, as you guys can see. So we're not yet above resistance. So that's kind of a bit of an issue, but based on the way it looks and the fact that the spot Ether ETFs are coming out, I would say there's a chance it could at least go up to this resistance here. So I'd be looking for EMAs as support, so probably about $10 to $11, somewhere in there. Below that, you're looking at $7 to about $7.80. And then I'd be looking up here for resistance target or a profit target, roughly about 18 to 20, and then the swing high all the way up there at 24. So let's say you get in at the yellow EMA, all the way up to resistance would be 96% and then 135% respectively. If you manage to get in on a pullback, which at this point I'm not sure there's going to be one with the announcement of the listing of the spot Ether ETFs, but you never know, could happen. So 177% and 230% respectively. Okay, so HZEN, this thing does actually look like it might maybe be about ready to smash upwards out of this falling wedge. Usually with coiling moves like a wedge pattern or a triangle pattern or even like a megaphone pattern, usually it takes about 75% of the way through the apex of the move to actually get a breakout. So I'm not sure this is actually going to break out above this yet. But again, I don't know. I mean, the spot E3 ETFs are about to get listed, so we'll see. So if it breaks out, it's probably going to head up to resistance here. That's going to be 690 to about 810. Support, which is still within the wedge, is roughly about 380 to 420. There's always a possibility it could get rejected off of this wedge and come back down to support, so keep that in mind. And then your swing high up here is going to be 1050. If we get any higher than that, we can talk about targets above and beyond that. So from resistance down here from support to the resistance, 108% move, and then all the way up to the swing high up here, 170% move. Oh, and just so y'all know, I don't know if you noticed this, but on a lot of these charts, we are getting a golden cross on the RSI, and we are getting a kind of bullish swing move here in the MACD. It's actually happening it's about to happen on LTCN. It is happening on BCHG. It is happening on HZEN, and it is happening also on ETCG. So just keep an eye out for that. So that's on the weekly time frame. ETCG, again, anywhere in between this channel is support, in my opinion. So $11 to $13 roughly. If we get a break of this trend line here, you obviously know that we're going to be moonshotting after that point. Most likely, not a guarantee. So resistance I'd be looking for is up here at $17.50 to about $20. Again, if we get above and beyond that, we can talk about it then. For long-term holders that are just trying to hold this for, like 10, 20, 30, 50x gains, you don't care about this kind of stuff. Or maybe you do. You just like seeing your portfolio numbers go up. I don't know. So 46% to roughly about 66% here. ETH. So we got a double top, came back, retested support, and now we are bouncing out of it. So that's most likely based on the, spot ETH ETF news. So once again, golden cross on the RSI, about to get a golden cross on the MACD. We have this humongous, really, really long-term cup and handle pattern here, which we did get a breakout of back here. Again, the target is all the way up at the highs. Roughly about $47 is what you're looking at there. Anything could happen between now and that target. It could also not hit that target, but again, because we had such a fat candle breakout here, I think it's likely we are going to hit 47. Plus, the spot Ether ETFs are going to be trading soon. So support I'd be looking for is down here between 25 to $29. I don't know if it's likely going to happen, but it's possible. Might have some kind of short-term pullback before it goes all the way up to resistance. So to get up to that target from support, it's roughly about 73%. So PhilG, I'm not sure how this is going to react to the spot Ether ETFs being traded, but based on what I'm seeing here, it does still look like this thing does want to come down to support. So I would still say 37 to 40 is going to be roughly about your target. We do have a lighter shade of red on the MACD here, but the problem is that the EMAs are still going down at an angle. They're not curling up yet, and that's something I would like to see if my mind's going to be changed on this. So the swing high up here at $400. You have your inverse head and shoulders target here, which I think is not likely that's at this point $300, but either way, it's going to get hit if it goes to all-time highs. So from support all the way up to the swing high or all-time high up here, 940% move. So GBAT, we're getting in pretty much right up into the apex of this move. It's either going to go up or down. We don't know yet. So support here is 770 to about 980, and then the swing high, which is also the all-time high, is at $32. So from support to the all-time high up there, 275% move. Again, it does actually kind of look more like it wants to break to the upside because, again, you kind of have this like pushing sideways against the resistance level here. And we keep getting these wicks that keep trying to come up and smash past this triangular or this descending trend line here. And it kind of just looks like it wants to do it. But we'll have to wait and see. So GLIV, this thing's doing a whole lot of nothing. It's just going sideways. So for now, I would just simply say that I'd be looking at 1150 to 1460 as the support there. So you have the inverse head and shoulders pattern here as well. But again, like Phil G, this thing just, I would have expected an immediate breakout, but we didn't get that. We just kind of went sideways. So targets here, anything from 80 to 84 bucks is what we're looking at. So 520% and then 552% respectively. G-Link, this one does actually look like it wants to break out, so we are slightly poking our head above this trend line here. We'll have to see how the next 3 days play out, but based on the recent news, I would say likely it is going to break out. But again, if it doesn't, your support is going to be 65 to 85. The all-time high is 220. Chainlink is just one of those projects. I think it is very likely probably going to go higher than 220. Everybody and their brother talks about Chainlink in the crypto community. It would not shock me if this thing went probably double, triple the all-time high. So 200% move on this one. Same thing with Solana. Everybody talks about Solana. So this does actually look like it wants to go much higher. I'm guessing that's based on the potential of a spot Solana ETF, although I'm not sure how likely that is, but we'll have to wait and see. So bullish on the RSI, bullish on the MACD, bullish on the price. We did get a breakout, but again, I think that the ship has already sailed on this one. I would have been looking to get in back here at 171 to 202. The swing high appears at 584. If we get past the swing high, we'll talk about it. But just to show you the risk here, if it drops, it's going to be huge. So 65%. So from support all the way up to the all-time high up here is 215%. And just so you all know, the CPI data did come in much cooler than expected, even cooler than every analyst's expectation, which could be considered a bad thing, because that might mean that the economy is cooling faster than people would like it to in the markets. And that's actually bearish. I mean, it could be bullish. That means that the Fed is more likely to cut rates faster. But I want to point out again, if that happens and the Fed cuts rates in July, which I'm not sure they're going to, but if they do, they come out with a surprise cut and the yield curve inverts, history does support a sell-off after that happens. Again, it's not a guarantee. You guys have my theory. I think the market goes up even when the Fed cuts rates, but just keep in mind that anything is possible here, okay? So GXLM, it looks like it wants to push up, but we're not above the EMAs or this bottom trend line here. So I would still say 25 is the kind of the buy area there. So 70 is the swing high. Then you have 52 to 58. So from that line, you'd be looking at roughly about 134% to the top of resistance, and then 174% all the way to that swing high up there. Mana, so this one's just kind of sitting on this flip zone. It's not really doing much of anything. It's still below the EMAs. So once again, I would say that likely the target here to buy is going to be roughly about 18 to 20 bucks on this one. And then the all-time high up there is at 70. So that move would be pretty sick. I mean, 220 or 277% move. You'd have to be in like a super small penny stock to get something like that in a relatively short amount of time. So Zcash, pretty similar thing. It does look like it's coming out of this resistance. Let me actually go down to the daily here and we'll take a look at it. So it is above the resistance zone, so I'm going to go ahead and change this to a support. However, if it comes back within the zone by the end of the week, I will flip it back into resistance. We'll just have to wait and see on that. So again, support is going to be between 440 to 510. Your resistance, $8 to $9.50, and then 10.25 all the way up at the swing high. So I would say for this one, now is a good time to get in. Again, that's not financial advice. I'm not telling you guys to get in. I'm just saying, looking at the charts, if I was going to buy this, I would buy right now because, again, it's pretty much as close to the ideal buy area as possible. So 83% move all the way up to resistance up there, and then 96% on the swing high on Zcash, although Zcash could definitely go much higher than that. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.